This is Uncover the Music, Boots and Hearts edition. Exclusive interviews with the talented individuals and artists who are making this year's festival happen. Returning to Boots and Hearts this year is Toronto native Owen Barney. On the heels of his debut single, Letting Go, that has surpassed the 1 million listen mark on music streaming services, Owen spoke with us on Skype about performing at this year's festival.
No, Boots and Hearts is going to be a fun time. I can't wait to play. I played last year, and it was we kind of did, my label did this thing where we put together a kind of a tailgate kind of thing. So we brought a couple trucks in. I played about 4 songs, and it was great turnout of people. But I can't wait to be on the actual stage this year.
Yeah. So last time you did Boots and Hearts, you were just the sort of the feeder show, the not the main stage, right?
No, so it wasn't even I wasn't even on the bill. So what my label, Jason Blake?
Yeah.
So he was on Wax last year during the time of Boots and Hearts. So we what we did is we put on our own kind of show in the campground. We talked to Boots and Hearts, and they were like, "Yeah, it's a great idea. Nobody's actually allowed to do it anymore." But so we did that. We handed out some drinks, handed out some burgers, and there was a few thousand people showed up, and it was actually before the gates actually opened up for Boots and Hearts, so nobody could actually go in yet and see any shows. So we were the first people out there, getting the party kind of started.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was awesome. But this year, yeah, it's nice to have my name on the Boots and Hearts bill and all that.
So what pushed you into music, and was it always country music, or did you start out with some other influences? Tell us about that.
So the first kind of music influence that I had, would have always been, I always listened to country music because my mom's from Alberta. Maybe that has something to do with it. But she, whether it was, going to school in the morning or getting rides home, anytime I was in the car with her, it was country music. But my dad, on the other hand, he loves country music. I'm a country singer, so he better. But he was a big classic rock fan. So I remember one night I went downstairs and he was watching. I don't know if you know the band.
Yep.
So they did their last show, The Last Waltz. It's and they have it on film, and it's one of my favorite ones. And I came downstairs and my dad was watching. Neil Young went up with them and they played Helpless. And so then I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. He had his harmonica out. It sounded amazing. And I then later found my dad's guitar in the basement, and I got him to show me a few chords, and next thing you know, I had a teacher, and here I am.
And there you are. So you're born and raised in Toronto, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Toronto, not exactly known for its music scene, a country music scene at least.
Yeah.
So is there more of a country music scene? The first part I'd like to know, is there a bit more of a country music scene than is generally thought of by the rest of the country, maybe in Toronto?
I think there is. Toronto's it's Toronto. It's a huge city. There's clubs everywhere. There's bars everywhere, and there's always a place you'll find live music. And I've found in the last little while, there's I'd say they've added about 4 more country bars. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but they're good bars. They're bars that people go to, and bars that people love to go listen to music at. And out of growing up in Toronto, being in high school and stuff, not too many people, my friends at least, listen to country music. But when I go out and I play these places, it's packed. People are there to listen to country music.
So when you were sort of starting out and you're starting to find your legs as a country musician when you're younger, how did you find sort of that connection to the scene in Toronto? Was it just going to those bars that you mentioned? Was it talking to other country musicians that were sort of around? How did you get started?
So I actually got started by just playing little shows that I could get here and there. So my family. My grandparents have bought a cottage up on Lake Joe up in the Muskoka area for 30 years. So I grew up going up there, and whether it was a little restaurant, a little bar here and there, I'd see what I could do to get a show there. But first time I started playing in Toronto, I was about 14, and I played at this country bar called Boots and Bourbon. It was downtown. It's no longer there. But I was 14. I went in. I was in grade 8. It was the coolest thing ever. I was playing in a bar. All my friends are doing homework right now. What am I doing? Just chilling in a bar. No big deal.
Were you nervous?
Oh yeah, I was nervous. But after I played that first half a song, I was in it. It was the best. It was the first time I played a show just on my own. It wasn't like a school talent show or something like that. And after that, it was kind of whether it was sending emails to restaurants, whether it was, me and my mom would go and have dinner there or something, and maybe talk to them and be like, hey, do you guys ever have live music, stuff like that. But it started out by doing shows. And then it ended up being, I got found by Wax Records at one of my shows.
And so now we move forward to October of 2018, and your first single and your first album are out. And now, as of, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, you're up over million spins on iTunes and streamers and Spotify. What's that like, going from the 14-year-old who was playing that first gig to now literally millions of at least spins and thousands of people consuming your music and really liking it? What's that like?
Well, for me, it's truly a dream come true. All I ever wanted, as a kid was to, whether it was singing songs in front of people or people at least listening to a song that I wrote, getting what I have to say out there. And after having that released, I was, when we were first talking about it and all that, I thought, well, I'll end up with, maybe a few hundred streams, maybe a couple thousand. That'd be great. That would be the best. And, next thing you know, it's just like edging on 2 million streams, and it's just like, how did that happen? It's one of those things where it's not that I'm surprised. It's not that I'm wondering, how did I do this? That kind of thing. It's just so exciting, and it means so much to me. Like seeing a song that I wrote and a song that I sing every day. Like every time I play a show anywhere I go, I play that song. It's my song. To know that everyone else out there listening to it knows that song as well is something. It means a lot to me.
And that you find that a lot with artists that get successful too, is that they sure, it's amazing, but the fact that something that came out of their head, whether it was a film or a song or a book, that so many other people resonate with and connect with, that's the thing that just blows them out of the water every time.
Totally. It's unbelievable.
So you're drawing a lot of comparisons to Eric Church and Jason Aldean, which is very good company to keep. What do you think of those comparisons? Do you like that? Is that sort of the sound you're going for, or what do you think about those comparisons? First off,
I always love to hear it, and it's not like I'm setting out to go for that sound or whatever. But before I kind of got into, going and finding music on my own, I listened to all my parents' music, and my mom was a big, Tim McGraw fan, stuff like that. But when I kind of went out and started looking at country music on my own, I gravitated towards Jason Aldean and Eric Church, and I always loved Eric Church for the way he writes his songs and the stories they tell and the imagery that I can see when I listen to them. And I hope to kind of, I hope my writing can tell stories like that, can make people feel the way that I felt when I listened to those songs.
So tell us a bit more about your writing. Do you have a team? Do you lock yourself in a room and say, I'm going to write? Does it come naturally? Tell us about that.
So it depends. If I go for a writing session, I no specific people that I only write with. I have people that I write with, regularly, people that I always write with, but then, you find new people here and there. And that's always great. It's, you go in your room, someone has an idea, maybe someone doesn't. You just write your song, you see what happens. But when it comes to writing on my own, unless I have had an idea stuck in my head for the last few days, I never say to myself, I'm going to sit down and write a full song right now. What I'll do is I'll pick up my guitar and I'll play for a bit, kind of see what I'm feeling, kind of see the vibe that this song's going to be. And once I kind of get that, kind of let a melody kind of form itself, I just let it kind of, I hum a few things and see what kind of fits. And once something catches, then I take that melody and I start putting words to it.
You got anything on the front burner that you can tell us about? Any songs that are coming together? Anything like that?
Totally. So we've got another 3-song EP coming out early July. It'll be probably around July 5th, sometime after that. And so, 3 songs, and we'll see how that goes, and then release more at the end of the summer.
And are you going to be playing some of those songs when you come to Boots and Hearts?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
And that Boots and Hearts, you're on tour through sort of Ontario, and then you're ending off the CNE, right, in Toronto?
Yeah, so I'll be there for I've got 2 nights there, I think. So I'll be playing 2 nights there, and that'll be really fun. I've got a few shows. I have one this week, and I'm playing a little festival in Cornwall. So that'll be fun. And I'll drive out there, do that. I was in Ottawa last weekend for the CMAOs, and that was great. So
Is there anything specific that you're looking forward to on this sort of summer tour that you're going to? You got Boots and Hearts, of course, near us, but a couple other smaller shows, places like Renfrew and that sort of thing. Is there anything specific that you're really looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to it all. I've spent my like music career kind of thing, playing at bars, and it's all drive. I'll drive to a show, and I'll go back home after, and I'll carry on with the rest of the evening or whatever it is that I'm doing. But the fact that I'm able to not be, driving there in my own car to just like go back home. I'm going there to play a show. I'm going there to sleep over in a hotel. I'm going there to get up and drive the next day to the next place, And that idea is just so exciting and it's so cool to me. I've never experienced that.
Because it's actually what professional musicians do. They're on the road, they're on the bus, they're at hotels, they're doing their shows. So now you're doing that.
Totally. It's a dream come true.
And then playing CNE must be kind of a cool way to end off this tour. Being a Toronto guy, I mean, there's some bigger venues, but CNE, that's pretty cool.
That one is, I used to go, my mom's family, they all live in Edmonton, so we used to go there every year, and we'd go to CNE out there, and I'd do the thing, but I've never been in Toronto. I've never been to it in Toronto because I always spend all my time going there. So for my first CNE in Toronto and I'm playing it, doesn't get better than that.
That is pretty cool, man. That's way cool. So we always end off our podcast. It's called Uncover the Music. So we always end off with uncovering 5 truths about everybody that sits down with us. So are you game for that?
Done deal.
Okay, first one, uncovering the truth about Owen Barney, your first job, paying job.
First paying job was singing songs in the corner of a restaurant.
So music was actually your first job too.
I never got another summer job. I've only ever played songs. I mean, I've done a few jobs here, like I know people who own companies and stuff like that. So I'll go and whether it's cleaning the floor or stuff like that. But the first thing I ever did was play for $150 for 2 hours in the corner of a restaurant with a tip jar out.
That's cool. Did you do okay on tips?
You know what, man? There were nights where you'd end up with a couple of loonies, maybe a $5 in there if you're lucky. But you'd have other nights where people were dropping in like $50 bills, hundreds if you were lucky, and those were the nights you lived for.
Yeah. Those are the people that really enthusiastic, but maybe they've had a couple of wobbly pops.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of pops in them, and they're humming along.
First concert you attended?
First concert I attended, I was about 10 years old, and I went to see Keith Urban. Because when I was at that age, me and my mom loved Keith Urban, and my mom, it was my 12th birthday, and she bought me an iPod Nano, and the only stuff on it was Keith Urban because she knew I loved Keith Urban. So she was like, I loaded up with Keith Urban, and we went out for dinner that night. She gave me this iPod, and all I did for the rest of my birthday dinner was sit there and listen to Keith Urban. I didn't talk to anyone. But a month later, he came to Toronto, and she took me to a show.
That's cool. Was it Air Canada Centre or Skydome or Air Canada Centre?
ATC, yeah.
A movie that you are embarrassed to admit that you paid money to go see or you paid money to download. Really bad movie that you don't want anybody to know you paid for.
Oh man, I've let me think. I'm trying to think of one. See, I'm a big like action movie kind of guy. So there's a lot of stupid movies. Probably there was the worst. I love the Fast and the Furious movies. I really do. But the third one never did it for me. There was something about it, and I remember my dad saying to me, he was like, "Oh, I would never watch that one. I'd never even buy it." And you know what I did? I bought it. I downloaded that puppy right then and there, and I watched it. It was great, but it just wasn't as good as the other ones. And if he knew that I laid the money down to download that, he would be disappointed.
You can't not have all the other ones and miss that one. So that's okay.
The thing is, we have all the other ones. I've seen all the other ones. I can't just not watch it.
Name of the first person you kissed. Fourth uncovered truth.
Oh, that's a good one. I know exactly who it was too. I know exactly who. I'm just like the name is just like stopped. Oh, Angie.
Angie.
Yeah.
Does she know that you're like country music emerging artist star? Do you still have any connection with her, Facebook or something, or?
Little Facebook action posting a little Instagram here and there. I'm sure she's seen, but no, she cares.
So, well, it might be a story for, 10 years if you're in Nashville cleaning up. Like, I was that guy's first kiss. Last one for you. If you could invite one person to the pub for a pint, living or dead, who would it be?
Invite one person to the pub for a pint. It would be probably, I'd have to say Johnny Cash. And that's like my grandpa, when he first came to Toronto, the song that was on the radio at the time was Walk the Line. And every time I'm with my grandpa, he's like, "Can you play Walk the Line for me?" And I'm there doing it. And if I had a pint with Johnny Cash, I'd say, my grandpa talks about you all the time, bud.
Awesome. So, Owen Barney, thank you for taking time out with us. What's the best way for people to access your music and news about you? Facebook, Instagram, website? What's the best way?
So my Facebook is Owen Barney Music. Instagram's the same, and believe it or not, my website's owenbarneymusic.com.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing you in August at Boots and Hearts, and we thank you very much for taking time out for us, man.
Sounds good. Thanks for chatting.
Uncover the Music is an exclusive podcast produced by BarrieUncovered.ca. Subscribe to Uncover the Music on Spotify, iTunes, and wherever else you get podcasts. And find out more about us at BarrieUncovered.ca on Facebook, and on Instagram, the handle is @BarrieUncovered.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.